Ah, the beast. Yes, this truck is an Axial SCX10, or was. This was my very first Honcho build that I modified and ran in the 2009 Axle Twisters TTC. I've had it a really long time. Put a lot of parts into this thing, and now I notice I go to roll it forward. Not only are the drive shafts broken, and the whole steel transmission seems to be locked up. Check that out. Vanquish products, anodized, red anodized transmission there. RRP steel drive shaft, or pardon me, slipper clutch and drive gear, pinion gear. All of this, all covered in mud. Axles are full, and I can even see some of the links are falling out. I think it's time for an upgrade, or at least an overhaul. So instead of doing 100% of the work and bringing this back, I think I'm going to go a little bit of a different route. Because everybody at the end of the season, right now when I'm filming this, you can see by the date of the release, we're in November now. So a lot of people's trucks are already dirty and they need maintenance. A lot of us, especially the newbies, are intimidated to bust in here. I know I am. There's a lot of stuff that's going to have to be done. But I decided to go a different route. I am going to harvest parts off of that, but it's for this pre-done roll cage that I have. This is actually pre-done. I bought this off of eBay. Just take this off here. Has some great accessories on it, like the aluminum front visor. This already came painted. On the top and on the sides, let me get out the clips, there we go. You'll see it's got a bar on over the top, and it's got a pretty cool detail paint job. Old Ford. Might have started off as a Chevy. Says Ford right in the imprints though. Ford, Chevy, Dodge, doesn't matter to me. It's an RC. This I love, simply because of what we're looking at. If you check this out, it's a handmade cage. Now, I don't know who made it. I bought it off of RC Recycler on eBay. Look at that. There is the aluminum back gas tank. It's not functional. It's just for looks. Yeah. I think this is a Traxxas 1/16 scale back bumper for a Summit. I thank EvTech for that, my buddy. Check it out. All brackets are done. What they did was take a frame, an axial frame for a tent scale, either a Dingo or something like that, maybe a SCX10 Honcho. Got themselves a good tubing job done. Spruced it up with a couple of cool looking suspension hoops. And a battery placement along the front. Check it out, even a plate for the electronics. I've got an idea for this though. Now, the only bummer I think about this is that here it has a support for the stinger or the bump here. Putting a winch in here is going to be a challenge, but that's okay. That's the way we deal here. We'll do challenges. Maybe we'll put one in behind here, facing out so it comes, like the hook comes through the front bumper, hey? Maybe that's how he designed it. I don't know. I think battery placement is awesome because it's right over the tires. Very cool. Pull out that transmission, put it in there. And I say enough lollygagging. Might as well start getting to pulling the old one apart. Might as well start on the drive shafts. In there, I know it's a little bit dark for you, you can't see, but that's the name of the game. Everything's pretty rusted on the inside. Being seized is no good. Just means that I ran it in too much mud. In fact, I remember this was in my own backyard with Jem when we were doing the mud bog video. Do I have another? Can't even turn it. Let's see. See if I can get to this one. Nope. Twist it, turn it, we'll get it. Right there. What about this one? Sure, we got a winner on this side. one snapped drive shaft. Gonna need some pliers to get it off though. Check it out. If you check out, I was taping it to reinforce the strength of the outer bar, but with these drive shafts, you see the splines are actually twisted a little bit. Twisted like licorice in here, like a Twizzler. Let me take off those darn tires. One. Hey, anybody want a giant grass ball around their bearing? Terrible, terrible. I didn't do my maintenance afterwards. That's what happens. This is a good lesson. If you don't do your maintenance, even me, right? You get too busy, you let it sit too long, all of a sudden, your RC doesn't want to move anymore and you have to do major surgery on it. So, I'm putting the washer that goes with it actually in the tire. It's just distracted by how much dirt is in here. I'm going to have to do a separate cleaning on those, but I won't be using those tires this round. I'm going to use a different set of tires because winter, like I said, is approaching. Going to need to use something a little bit beefier. Paddles are always fun in winter when there's slush, but if it's just powder, then I find if you don't have a lot of wheel speed, you just dig yourself into a hole that's hard to get out of. Much like life in itself. There we go. Done deal. Look at that. Another huge weed ball. Not that kind of weed ball. This kind of weed ball. Bleh. Hairball. Looks like my cat spat up behind my tire there. Even though I don't have a cat. I had cats. When I was younger I had cats and dogs. Okay, so get rid of this. Into the garbage. Let's go after these shocks. I do have new updated shocks. These are the original ones I've had for quite some time. I took some of them off, put them up on HD Overkill. I'm working on HD Overkill right now in a different project, trying to do some cool stuff with that. You'll find out more about that in upcoming videos. But in the meantime, get myself a pair of pliers. There we go. My buddy Everett left his pliers here, so it's easy for me to use. I'll move that here, grasp it, and out she comes. And of course the other side. Now though I'm going to use new shocks, these are the older ones, and they really have taken a punishment. These will be on standby for folks that need them in the rigs when we're on trail runs or something, break shock, you know, that's how the community is. If you have a good RC community around you, normally you're trading and swapping parts while you're out on a trail run anyway. So, get rid of this one. Come on, that's a long screw. That's what she said. One. Let's get the other one out and release the suspension altogether. Get that done. Alright, let's hit that transmission. Links are good. It looks like I'm missing one screw, am I? Nope. Looks like I did a repair job, did two different screws. One's a hex, and of course one's a Phillips. And then the top two are hexes, but this one of course is a larger hex than usual. Will the round bit fit? It will not. How about this one? It will. Good. How many fixes out on the trails where you just grab the actual screw that you need, that you have? You know, it's not the one that fits the best, it's the only one that fits. It doesn't matter what thread it is. There we go. Get these out. Oh yeah, those are pooched. Surprised the transmission's even hanging in there. There we go. Come on out of there. Perfect. Transmission should be removable. So we have two snap drive shafts or one snap drive shaft and one that can slide out, right? Oh, done. Here we go. Now I simply snipped those wires because I already know that this motor is seized. There's no way. In fact, I'm sure that the transmission is probably A-okay inside, because I did swap over to the heavy duty gears, but I think it's the bearings in the motor. So one way to test that out, we can risk it right now. Let's see, do I have the right one? Try to take that pinion out, unless it's locked in there, which it is. Yeah, that's pretty tight. That ain't coming out of there. I'm going to have to use some magic methods. Okay, so I put a little bit of grease on either side. I know that grub screw is basically locked, so I have these curved needle nose. I'm going to try and use the curve on them as a leverage point against the motor mount plate. Try to see if I can just wedge it. I can. Here we go. Often when you have a grub screw that gives you a hard time, if you're careful, you can actually bring it right off the shaft of the motor. Sorry guys, I know it's hard to see, but almost there. Now we'll just turn that around. 2 mounting screws. This one's even fairly loose. All right, check out all the dirt. Come on, there we go. Dirt. This is from going through mud. Even though I waterproofed it, doesn't mean that if I don't maintain the bearings, that the bearings won't seize and your motor will become almost useless. I could rebuild this motor though, so I'm not going to throw it away. Just put it off to the side. Now, here is the transmission. The transmission itself, let's listen to it. Very nice, and it spins freely. The only problem is drive shafts. I've got to get these off. Thought that was going to be a struggle. There we go. Does it pop off? Lucky, lucky me. It did. Here's what I mean about that Twizzler effect. You can see the splines are actually quite bent. That was going to break. Now, why were they doing that? That's a lot of torque from that brushless motor. I put it into mud and to roots, really. Like all this grassy stuff gets all caught up in the axles, creates a lot of drag, right? A lot of force against the motor. So things start to burn out. Things start to break. Let's see if I can go after this fella again. Come on. Ah, there we go. A little bit of oil goes a long way. So I want to clean this up. I would have done a good job when building. Listen. Barely a noise. Lots of grease in there. Those bearings are working great. So I don't even need to disassemble that. Just clean it. Just went upstairs and kind of washed it down. Could have got out a scouring pad, but I don't really need to get in that bad. Now, one thing I want to do, just because I did all of that, of course, re-grease the bearings on the outside. I know I packed this whole thing with marine grease, which is water-resistant grease, so not a problem. That's why we still have this. Perfect. So I'll do a little bit of, I know this is motor bearing grease. Same kind of idea, though. There we go. Same on the back. And right here. Perfect. Let that sit for a second or two. And so because this is a frame, like body built onto a cage that was built onto the frame, all the holes should line up for the Vanquish transmission. This was used, from what I understand. This is a product that I bought used off of eBay. There we go. I'm assuming like that. Not too bad. I like the spur gear looking behind, especially in an open cage when you can see it. Now, I could do the motor. What kind of motor? Do I want to be safe and put in a 35 turn, or do I want to go brushless? I could go either way, so I'm not going to make that decision right now. We'll just make sure that we have 4 screws the same. Unless I want to do too short and too long, which is what the stock is. But let's go this way. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. Flip it up. Yeah, too short would normally go on this side. Let's do too long on here. Oh, I didn't line that up very well. And let's see if I can do this. Sorry guys, I know it's one side or the other. You can't really show both sides. I could get out 2 cameras, but for such a simple upgrade to the truck, I'd like to keep the film fairly simple. There we go. And that one is not too tight. Yeah, that's why I hand tighten them, because I don't want to over tighten the screws. I'd rather get them close and then make sure everything's lined up like that. That should fit now. Working on an RC. It's one of the most relaxing things that I do. Sometimes it can be frustrating, but at the same time, when you're just being careful and creating something, you know, I think that's where the magic lays for me. Now this one is shorter than this one. Do I have a shorter one? Looking in the billions. Here, look at, I'm looking in this thing. In a billion screws. You know how this goes. I've got trays of screws as well, but you just keep getting extra. How many of you out there suffer from extra screws left over from every project that you do? Well, I don't know if it's the extras, but I'll tell you. Oh, wrong one altogether. This one looks like maybe, there we go. These are flathead dimples. Check it out. So I'm going to need to use the Phillips. I think these are supposed to be the shorter ones though. Let's check it out. Let's see if the Vanquish, oh yeah, no. Perfect. They were the right size. Get that in. Still looking good? Oh yeah, that'll look pretty badass when we're looking behind. Because, look at this. This will go to here. We'll be able to see the open area. I like that. That is why I wanted a cage. So, moving right along, I guess for now we'll tie that up. That's the announcement of my, you know, upgrade build on the Beast, because the Beast is certainly hurting. Hey, he needs some loving. So does my black Tamiya Tundra, but I'm saving that for a special occasion. So from this to this, the restoration continues.